First, on the world's most amazing videos. Gruesome gorings. Maniacal monkey business. Sink your teeth into animals gone wild. First, a rampaging elephant turns a courtyard into a war zone. Then, an impromptu performance for some bears leads to a grisly finale. Plus, a startled steed becomes a bucking bronco and crushes its rider under hoof. And later, a cheetah turns a TV host into a TV dinner. These are the incredible true life stories of people who face their most desperate hour and live to tell about it. Everything you are about to see is real. Real people, real danger, real excitement. Get ready to experience the thrill of a lifetime. You are about to witness the world's most amazing videos. Tonight, animals gone wild.
Kerala, India. Gilded elephants line a courtyard at a religious festival. Locals want to celebrate by riding these gentle giants. But suddenly, one of them tries to shake its unwanted guests. Fearing a stampede, the crowd panics and scatters. A trainer calms the irritated beast. And for a moment, things seem under control. But another elephant has been set off by the tantrum. Enraged, he throws the people off his back. Cameraman Omer Modudi is horrified.
Everyone immediately got scared and started running away. At that point, the fun was over.
A man is caught under the pachyderm's massive legs. The elephant's trainer tries to distract it. But the victim is savagely kicked across the dirt. The trainer is determined to help the first man escape. It costs him a thrashing. The creature picks up the handler in his powerful trunk and tosses him like a rag doll.
It was terrible. In all my life, I've never seen anything like this.
Onlookers rush to aid the helpless worker. But it's no use. The 3-ton animal rages on. Bystanders finally rescue the battered trainer. But this rampage is far from over. The angry giant turns against one of his own, rolling another elephant with his tusks. The injured elephant rights itself. But the assailing animal bulldozes it into the covered walkway. A walkway packed with women and children. A mother and her daughter are knocked down and nearly trampled. The woman grabs her child and runs away, just in time. But unbelievably, across the yard, the attacker is still on the warpath.
This kind of behavior from an elephant is almost completely unheard of.
Terrified mothers clutch their babies as they clamber to get out of harm's way. With his camera still rolling, Omer helps pull them to safety. The The citizens scale walls and rooftops to avoid the rogue beast. Soon, the majority of the people are clear from the elephant's charge. But a mind-boggling 200 have been injured. Ambulances push through the enormous throng to reach the victims. With no people left to throttle, the violent elephant wears itself out, trashing anything in its path.
Trees, fences, everything was destroyed by the elephant.
It was supposed to be a happy occasion, a time of fellowship alongside these majestic animals. But for the scores of wounded who ended up in the hospital, it was a lesson in nature's brutality. Mexico City. Matador Ignacio Garibay shows off his impressive bullfighting skills. He's already wounded his aggressive opponent, but delays the finishing blow, playing to the crowd. It's a risky display of bravado, underestimating the animal's desperation. The bull hooks Ignacio's knee, then gores him in his groin. Ignacio instinctively rolls away. The one-ton creature charges and rams the matador in his rib cage. Finally, a fellow matador distracts the bull with a wave of his cape. Apprentices rush to shield Ignacio from further assault. But as they help him limp away, he angrily breaks free, his pride more wounded than his body. Incredibly, Ignacio ignores the pain of being impaled and heads back into the fight. The crowd applauds his courage. Sword in hand, Ignacio stares down his bleeding adversary. But it's only for a final flare of showmanship. Ignacio salutes his foe by turning away and letting the bull live. A sign of respect for an animal that nearly did him in. Hoedspruit, South Africa. Wildlife expert Michelle Garforth is filming a segment on the endangered king cheetah for a TV series.
Juliet, I don't know. For me, cheetah are the most beautiful of all the cats.
But it's her own survival that will be put in jeopardy.
Come down. Come along. Here we are.
A cat named Sabika gives Michelle the cold shoulder.
And it's just so magnificent is to see that hair standing up on the top of their necks here. And that's a sign of aggression, right? Yes, it's a sign of aggression.
They leave Sabika alone and interact with the other cheetahs. A few minutes later, Sabika approaches. Michelle thinks she's won the cat over.
Cheetah is a happy cheetah.
She hasn't.
Ow! Ow! No problem. Ow!
Sabika slinks up to Michelle while she's petting another cheetah. But she's not searching for attention. She's looking for dinner. Sabika nips at Michelle, then goes for blood. The ranger tries to fend off the wild predator. with a smack to the snout. She finally has to pry the snarling feline away.
Okay, thanks.
Sabika has ripped a gaping wound in Michelle's arm.
Can we get her to doctor, please?
She's rushed into a waiting jeep, and they take off for the local clinic, where the bloody puncture marks are washed with disinfectant.
It was an unbelievable pain. It was a pain like I've never felt before.
Michelle is still haunted by the ferocity of the attack.
My mind was screaming, going, how do I stop this? How do I prevent this? Please don't let this happen.
The incident isn't over when Sabika lets go. The smell of blood catches the attention of the other cheetahs.
Suddenly there was a pack mentality going on, and I would have been dinner.
Thankfully, the ranger scatters the salivating cats. And Michelle and her colleagues run for their lives. Michelle still bears a scar from the incident. It's a chilling reminder of how close she came to death.
The next step after my arm would have been my neck. So I could have been dead within the blink of an eye. I'm very lucky to be alive, and I know that.
Coming up, when a hunter shoots a man-eating lion, the predator dishes out some bloody revenge. But first, a zoo comes under siege when an orangutan goes ape. Plus, a crocodile trainer's trick gives him a piercing headache. Next on the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild. Now back to the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild.
Pattaya, Thailand. At a reptile farm, an intense demonstration is underway. Spectators watch, amazed as a trainer slowly removes food from a crocodile's open mouth. It takes a delicate touch. Even the slightest contact will trigger the croc's deadly biting reflex. Good thing for the trainer, she's got a steady hand. But now it's the next worker's turn to entertain. And he's not quite as gentle. Using a wooden stick, he taunts the creature with a flurry of jabs. He's hoping to wear the animal out before attempting his big finale, sticking his head inside its mouth. Unfortunately, his heavy-handed approach will come back to bite him. The man's hand slipped from the scaly jaws. 64 razor-sharp teeth clamp down into his flesh. Another trainer beats back the beast, then helps his injured friend to his feet. The man is left with dozens of bloody gashes across his face. But he's lucky he still has a face at all. He thought this primitive carnivore would follow his commands. Instead, he got a cold-blooded reminder of the croc's killer instinct. In Gifford, Illinois, cowgirl Calla Baywee competes in a barrel race. But suddenly, her trusty mount starts acting like a wild stallion. A camera flash startles the horse. Then it flies into a frenzy. The animal falls sideways, crushing Calla beneath its 1,200-pound body. As the thoroughbred struggles for footing, it kicks the motionless rider in the head. It's a savage beating that almost proves fatal.
I'm very lucky to be alive. It was a freak accident because she had never done anything like that before. As soon as I turned, she kind of started freaking out and started bucking. At that point, you're like, oh no, what do I do? Do I bail? Do I stay on? Do I just ride this out?
Calla holds tight, hoping to tame the rogue mare.
It was kind of unreal to me because I was like, how could this happen? How could this happen to me?
As Calla hits the ground, she's knocked unconscious. Despite the brutal pummeling, she comes away with only a concussion. Calla's glad to have survived this terrifying moment when her horse showed a flash of its inner beast. Kaohsiung, Taiwan. A cage has been torn open at a local zoo. Nearby lies a trail of destruction, from garbage cans to an overturned picnic table. All at the hands of an angry orangutan. Animal control officers have already shot the rampaging primate with a tranquilizer dart. But his spree continues, pulverizing a camera left by a terrified tourist. The furious animal lashes out again, tossing a scooter aside like a toy. Then the ape rages into a dining plaza, upending a cabinet. Suddenly, he turns his attention to the diners inside. With the strength of 4 men, he could rip through the mesh window and annihilate the stunned patrons. The handlers have to act fast. At last, a marksman gets another shot. The dart hits the orangutan's upper body, and he bristles. The 300-pound wrecking ball can't fight the powerful sedative any longer. It takes 5 men and a forklift to carry the hairy terror away. The orangutan was stopped before he caused anyone harm. But it was a reminder for the zoo visitors that even captive animals can be wild.
Still to come, an out-of-control pachyderm turns a van into automotive mulch. Then, a rabid fox weaves a trail of mayhem through a bar. And a bungling bullfight fan puts on a gory performance. When the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild continues. Now back to the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild.
Otavalo, Ecuador. thousands pour into a plaza for an amateur bullfight. Wannabe matadors wave homemade capes at the snarling animal, hoping to show off their skill. Some manage to avoid the thrashing horns, while others aren't as lucky. But one audience member is about to take the full brunt of the raging beast. The man falls into the arena, glancing off the bull. He's hit with a flurry of punishing blows. And it gets even worse. A rescuer's approach catches the bull's attention, drawing him back to his victim. The fuming creature charges, flipping the wayward spectator end over end. The man is knocked unconscious, but the bull continues its merciless assault. Finally, other amateurs distract the belligerent animal. Medics rush in and carry the ravaged man to safety. As bad as it looks, he eventually comes to with no serious injuries. It's an incredible outcome for this fumbling fan who had set the stage for his own demise. Salisbury, Maryland. It's last call at Chef Fred's Bar and Grill, and the evening is winding down. But slinking out of the woods is a rabid fox on the prowl. The wild animal chases waitress Nicole Janer through the front doors and into the crowded bar.
It was so surreal. I was going out to my car and the fox came out from the shadows and started making funny noises. I ran to the first place that I thought I'd be safest, which was indoors.
Nicole's plan backfires. The cunning fox stays hot on her heels. She scrambles for safety, along with other shocked patrons. In the back room, manager Sarah Hall is suddenly cornered.
This fox jumps on top of the railing and then jumps at my hand, bites my hand. Literally, it was like clinging to my hand like a pit bull. He's going, like making really crazy noises. It's freaking me out.
Finally, the bartender uses a taser to subdue the fox. Unaware of its disease, he picks up the animal with his bare hands and releases it outside. But authorities soon track it down and confirm the presence of rabies. Sarah undergoes a series of painful shots. She'll be okay, but it'll be some time before she can live down the night she was outfoxed by a fox.
This would definitely have to be the craziest thing that's ever happened to me. I was actually attacked by a fox in a bar.
Gull, Sri Lanka. Instead of horses, elephants are the steed of choice at this annual polo game. But before play can begin, one mount goes on a tirade. After being startled on the field, this massive beast rages out of control. The 4-ton terror uses his head as a battering ram, smashing a minivan to a metal pulp. Workers throw stones to keep the bully at bay. But the giant snatches a stick and lashes back at them. The men continue to bombard the reckless renegade. For a moment, the pachyderm seems to back off. But he's only gearing up for more mayhem. Eventually, the elephant is corralled and tied to a tree. The Goliath is sedated before more damage can be done. These sportsmen tried to turn an animal into an athlete, but learned you cannot escape the call of the wild.
Just ahead, a bloodthirsty lion sets his sights on some big game hunters. But first, a village is flooded by a tidal wave of mice. And a miniature bull gives a mini Matador a major pounding. That's straight ahead on the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild. Now back to the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild.
Kutareva, Croatia. Ivan Pavenka runs an experimental rescue facility for orphan bear cubs. They live out their lives here under the care of volunteers like Maria Schaefer.
They don't have a lot of instincts, so if we put them out in the wild, then they don't know how to behave.
Today, Maria tries entertaining the animals with some ukulele music inside their enclosure. She won't be giving an encore. Agitated by the sound, one bear stuns Maria, sinking its 2-inch teeth into her leg.
I can remember the movement of the bear, but nothing else of the soul. Gone.
Ivan beats the creature back with a stick. But soon he's the one trapped under 500 pounds of fury.
He couldn't breathe, he was losing a lot of blood.
A second bear threatens to join the fray as the first one locks its powerful jaws onto Ivan's arm. A co-worker makes a desperate attempt to distract the animals with a chainsaw. The move saves his friends' lives. Maria's okay, but Ivan is rushed to a hospital. He'll recover from his wounds, but his sense of guilt will linger.
It was my own fault since I allowed certain things which I should not have allowed.
There will be no more music inside the bear's pen after this performance that nearly cost these two their lives. Hunan Province, China. A recent flood has unearthed some unwanted visitors. 2 billion mice. It's enough to cover a full square mile. The destructive vermin gnaw their way through overwhelmed villages and run like rivers through the gutters. A rodent roundup proves useless. The only approach is to scatter poison and hope for the best. It will take weeks to get rid of this 4-legged plague. Until then, residents are the ones caught in a mousetrap. Pico Rivera, California. Once a year, the city plays host to a Mexican tradition called midget rodeo. In this shrunken spectacle, even the bulls are only 4 feet tall. But that doesn't mean they're harmless. And this mini Matador is about to experience an animal gone wild in a whole new way. tormented toro overpowers his antagonist and knocks her down, then decides on a different kind of revenge. Other picadors are able to break up the bovine booty call. This tiny toreador didn't have the skill she needed to battle a deadly beast. But thankfully, she was fighting a bull who wanted to make love, not gore.
Up next, angry birds take over a street in a flurry of feathered aggression. Plus, a bull rider's nasty fall leaves his head at the mercy of pounding hooves. Then, a TV show turns to terror when an elephant goes for the kill. When the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild returns. Now back to the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild.
The Mendoza Zoo, Argentina. Alfredo Ugarte is the host of an animal series on TV.
Kenya?
Today's show features Kenya, an African elephant.
Kenya, eres una linda, una reina preciosa.
Alfredo shares a bite with the 10,000-pound starlet.
Eso, ve, niña, que no pasa nada.
Then he joins his friend for a stroll in her home. But suddenly, Kenya is less than a perfect guest star.
Kenya! Oye! Kenya!
An assistant tosses some food in to help calm the creature.
Te voy a dar comida, Kenya. Toma, te voy a dar comida, Kenya. No sea pesota.
For a moment, the treat does the trick.
Pero no está bueno, Kenya.
But then, the huge pachyderm explodes in a homicidal fit. The only way out is a dive into the ditch.
Kenya!
Alfredo knew he was in trouble the moment Kenya stomped her feet. The move sends a ground-shaking warning that she's about to attack.
Kenya!
He barely dodges a ferocious swing of her trunk. Alfredo scurries to safety.
Mira.
He can't stop trembling from his brush with death.
Kenya, ¿por qué me hiciste pasar estos sustos? Después de que te di tantas manzanas. Cuando vi que no paraba, ¡ay! Dije, aquí soné.
The reason Kenya turned on her co-star is discovered later. Alfredo's new wireless microphone emits a high-frequency pitch humans can't hear,
Kenya.
but which is extremely irritating to sensitive animals. It was a mistake that nearly turned this delicate diva into a monstrous murderer. Peoria, Illinois. It's a picture-perfect day for runners training for a race. But there's danger looming high above. A nesting blackbird sends the athletes running for cover. The competitors should have paid attention to the city's warning signs. Dozens of the pecking predators dive bomb anyone who crosses their path. One by one, citizens are hit with hair-raising assaults. Fortunately for residents, these showdowns will end when their attackers migrate away. But this day clearly went to the birds. Charleston, South Carolina. Cowboy Corey Rash tries to tame a massive tank of testosterone named Big Deal.
This is the new bull everybody's talking about. Big Deal brings down Corey Rash with a big buck off. And I think I saw a lot of blood right there. It doesn't look good for Corey Rash. A dangerous game these men play.
Just 4 seconds into the ride, the one-ton bull thrashes Corey to the ground and pile drives his hoof into the rider's skull.
Oh my goodness, that just about ripped his ear off.
Corey's horrified fans wait for a sign. Their hero will be okay. When Corey finally rises to his feet, so do they. The bull rider is in pain, but he has survived the vicious hoof pounding.
It would have been maybe an inch lower, maybe closer to my temple or my jaw. It definitely would have been bad. His front foot come right down on my head. The good Lord was looking over me that day because his foot slipped off my head. I was definitely, lucky.
Corey's opponent leaves him with a broken collarbone and shoulder blade, as well as a defeat in the competition. He hoped one big ride would help him beat the field. Instead, it beat him to a pulp.
Oh my goodness.
Coming up, a killer lion turns some hunters into an endangered species. That's next on the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild. Now back to the world's most amazing videos, Animals Gone Wild.
South Africa. Professional sharpshooters are on the trail of a rampaging lion that's been attacking humans and has already killed a game ranger. They track him down to a patch of brush where the savage cat has been keeping an eerie watch over their movements. As they get into position, the lion issues a warning.
Wait. Just wait.
Lead hunter Brian Gully prepares to end the beast's reign of terror. The lion stares him down, unafraid. The gunman takes aim and hits his mark. But Gully's shot doesn't kill the animal. Instead, it unleashes its rage. At 50 miles an hour, the beast charges Gully through a volley of missed shots. But as the lion leaps for his throat, the hunter fires one more time. The wounded cat thrashes on the dirt. He's down, but not out. As the injured animal flees, another bullet knocks him over. Finally, Gully delivers the kill shot. With his foe now vanquished, the brave hunter realizes how close he came to being the prey.
Take the line. I waited till the last minute. I'm right out of the way. I'd get that last shot off.
Take him again.
Was that close enough?
Are you sure you're okay?
I'm glad you were still shooting.
I was told that this lion very likely would attack us, maybe without any provocation at all.
He was prepared for a fight, but had no idea how invincible his nemesis would be.
I shot him to the shoulder and it knocked him completely over. I'm thinking to myself at this point, that's it.
He's stunned when the lion stands back up.
This lion just had no fear. literally looked around a little bit, looked at me, squinted, licked his lips once, and let out a roar, and here he came. I know that I can't afford to miss this shot. Whatever happens, I gotta shoot this shot into this lion's head. I saw the paw come and grab me. I remember thinking, one split second, he's got me.
But the hunter's shot is dead on, shattering the lion's skull. He has the killer cat stuffed and put in his home. A reminder of the day this king of the beasts almost handed him a death sentence.
It's ingrained in their nature. When they're cornered or scared, the only response they know is kill or be killed. And no matter how much we handle them or try to tame them, we'll never be able to control animals gone wild. Join us next time for more of the world's most amazing videos.